Blog Talk Radio.
Down to sleep, lay me down. I pray my soul is mine to keep. My soul can never step outside this bed, never into all the evil. Now back from the dead.
Are you scared?
He's here.
The calling hours.
When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk near.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome to another episode of the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Horror Society Radio. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Once again, it is the head undertaker, the dead man, Michael Jones of HorrorSociety.com and Living Dead Magazine. We have one hell of a podcast for us this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, on the 61st episode, we are going to have horror movie actress and adult film star Ophelia on. Now, Ophelia, of course, is a horror actress, adult film star, and model, and we're going to talk to her about the range of work that she's done, including such genre credits as Milfs vs. Zombies, Death Metal, Bite School, Dracula's War, and Urban Legends to Die For, and she was just recently picked up for Concept Media's Don't Fuck in the Woods. So, my buddy up there, Sean Burkett, will have her in his next film. So we will also discuss her adult film career in modeling. And for those of you that are listening in and tuning in for the show, this is not going to be a tits and ass show. Sure, we're going to talk about her adult film career, but I kind of want to talk to her about the stigmata that's attached with being an adult film star and trying to cross over into quote unquote legit film. We know there are other actors that have tried in the past. Tracy Lords to some varying degrees of success. Ron Jeremy has crossed over. And Ophelia, is working with people that I know, and I'm looking forward to some of these other projects, just to kind of see where it's going. But I think it's an interesting concept. We'll certainly talk about her work and the things that she does, but I think there's a lot to be explored, just from a pure acting and a personal standpoint. So I think this is going to be a very interesting interview. We're going to cover all aspects of things. So sit back and enjoy this show. Trust me. We will be reviewing Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of Scream Blacula Scream, which was part of a double feature disc with Blacula, which I covered last week. And, man, I had so much fun watching this. Again, there's really a lot to like with this. And we will also tonight be covering in our second spotlight, Olive Films has recently started sending us films. So they asked me what I wanted to see, and they have a great catalog, and we'll be reviewing films from them throughout the year, and there'll be plenty of reviews up on Horror Society. But the first film that I chose to review from Olive Films is The Boogens, 1981. It's, oh man, this goes back to my childhood. Of course, I was 5 when this came out, so I didn't see it when I was 5, but I do remember in the mid to late 80s catching it on cable. I remember USA Network used to run films. Hell, I might have even seen it on HBO. I don't know. But I fondly remember the film, and it was a real surprisingly nice stunner to see that Olive Films had picked it up and done something with it. Their DVDs are a little bit different than Scream Factory's. These are not so much archival editions in the sense of interviewing everybody that's involved with the film and every little snippet of information. The special feature for this one is an audio commentary with director James L. Conway, screenwriter David O'Malley, and star Rebecca Balding. And then the film itself. So, just like with any kind of review, everything is subjective. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm giving unfair slants or unfair reviews. I will certainly speak honestly about the disc and the movie, which I truly enjoyed. So we'll get to that after our feature interview this evening. In our Metal Blade Spotlight this evening, we're going to be featuring a band that I really, really enjoy, and that band is Behemoth. Their most recent CD was The Satanist, so that's in our Metal Blade Spotlight. And as a matter of fact, we're going to play the first song in that spotlight from that album, The Satanist. This is Behemoth with the song Ora Pro Nobis Lucifer. Ora Pro Nobis Lucifer off of The Satanist from Behemoth, our Metal Blade Spotlight band for the evening. We'll be hearing a little bit more from Behemoth, and I'll give you a little bit of background information on the band. In about 18 minutes, we're going to have our feature interview with horror movie actress and adult film star Ophelia Rain. But before that, I think it's time for some digital dismemberment.
Digital dismemberment.
And in our first digital dismemberment spotlight for the evening, we are going to be covering Olive Films' Blu-ray release of The Boogens. And first off, I want to say thank you to my new friends out at Olive Films. I know that they're looking forward to the review and the written one out on Horror Society. But, I want to say first off, it's absolutely so great when I got in contact with them and they agreed to send me films, and they gave me a list, and, there was The Boogens, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen this film since the mid to late 80s, It came out in 81. I was 5 then, so I didn't see it at 5. But this is one of those films, it's a forgotten art making a film like this. And I don't want everyone to think I'm sitting here going, oh, my God, this should be an Oscar film. No. But what I'm talking about is the sheer enjoyment of it. This was one of those films that I fondly remember because, yes, it scared me. It wasn't over-the-top gratuitous. It certainly has great makeup effects. I like the creature at the end. But it's just, there's a certain look. There's a certain style. Of course, it was shot on film. But, the character development was enough. It wasn't convoluted. There were no digital effects, This wasn't made to be Shakespeare. This is the epitome of what a fun 1980s creature horror film should be like. To give you a little bit of background information on the film, in a small town near Denver, 2 young men begin to explore a long-abandoned old mine recently reopened by a group of miners. When one of the men is discovered missing, his friends begin a search that leads them to horrifying consequences. They're all unaware of the evil that's been unleashed, and soon, one by one, a monster that no one has seen snatches up the townspeople. Suddenly, the grisly truth is revealed, and a young couple is forced to confront the unknown in order to save their lives and the entire town. Again, a very simple plot, shot in Utah. I believe it was Salt Lake City, I believe, is where it was shot. But again, it just has a certain look, a certain feel. It's almost like a lullaby, the way that it's paced, the suspense of drawing out the creature. You have the staples of the old creepy guy going around, an unseen monster or killer. There's a lot to like about this film. Going into an old silver mine and accidentally unleashing a creature responsible for, it appears over time, the disappearances of miners and cave-ins and things like that, so the mines have been shut. Well, apparently the mines connect to the different houses in the village, and this creature, these creatures have gotten out and have gone around and starting to feed. Now, Rebecca, Fred, and Jeff, the actors and actors, Trish, Mark, Jessica, and Roger in the film, they're all getting together, 2 of them, the 2 are dating, 2 of them are meeting for the first time. And one guy has to go get maps, and he is actually the first. He's the first of the group to be killed, and all you really see is almost like a tentacle, a clawed tentacle, drawing, slashing, and there's a fair amount of blood and gore, and it looks very good, realistic to a sense. Really good for its time, definitely eye-catching. As the film goes on, there's an annoying little dog, and in a way you're almost cheering for the little dog until he eventually meets his end by being dragged through a heating grate, leaving tufts of fur. one of the other young ladies is unfortunately cornered in a closet and mauled and gored to death by the said tentacle, and her body is dragged down to her basement. Meanwhile, the two single friends who have slowly become lovers start to find out what's going on, and the last lady is trapped at the house and is being attacked when he and the sheriff arrive, and the sheriff shoots it. It still winds up getting his face mauled by it after he thinks it's dead. Actually a really great jump scene, very well done. Again, plenty of the red and the gore and everything that you want to see out of something like that. So after being pitchforked several times until thought to be dead again, a gas line is cut and fire starts, and they wind up having to try to escape through the tunnels. Meanwhile, the gentlemen who had opened the mine have had their own run-ins. One of them is taken away by the monster. The old man who's been trying to warn everyone that has the dynamite winds up getting killed himself. So the young couple make their way through the mine, meet up with the boss, and he tells them to get the dynamite. He winds up getting killed. And they wind up sealing off the mine with a bag of dynamite, collapsing basically the mine, destroying the house. Hopefully all the creatures have been taken care of. It was really cool from an effect standpoint. I mean, today this is something that would probably more than likely have been done with CG, and I don't think it would have made any kind of improvement. The creature is not so puppetry or unrealistic as to where you don't believe what you're seeing. The creature looks really good. As I mentioned before, the blood and gore effects, while they're not overly gratuitous, are great. Blood runs down the screen, bites in faces. I mean, slashes. It looks really good. I'm really happy with how the film still holds up to this day. And like I said, the acting and everything, it's on pace. Like I said, we're not watching Shakespeare here, but this is definitely what I would call an obscure film from the 80s that a lot of people need to go and revisit. The film has a running time of 96 minutes. It's an anamorphic widescreen. You can pick it up at olivefilms.com. You might be able to find it at your retailers. I'm not sure exactly where, retail-wise, where Olive Films are available, but if I get that information, I'll certainly put that out there. As far as special features go, there's an audio commentary with director James L. Conway, screenwriter David O'Malley, and star Rebecca Balding, and it's a really nice listen to if you listen to commentaries while you watch the movie. You get really a lot of nice background information. It helps to have seen the movie first. It helps go into detail on a lot of things. So that it's a really good special feature. I love the slipcase and the cover art for the DVD. To the point. Looks like the poster, and again, it's that look. There are no other special features. There are no other trailers. Overall, as a presentation, I would give the disc a 7 out of 10. And I know that may seem high, but going back and looking and trying to find a lot of information about the Boogens as well is pretty hard to find. I mean, there's a few spot reviews here and there, but as far as the history goes, even the Wikipedia, there's really not too much information there. Now, what was nice was, after I had posted that I'd be reviewing the film, John Amplis had messaged me on Facebook, and you guys should know John from Martin and the Creep Show, several of Romero's works. And he was surprised to see the title come up, and he just wanted me to convey, what a good person Fred was. And he's speaking of Fred. He's speaking of actor Fred McCarran, who unfortunately is no longer with us, who passed in 2006. But he played the role of Mark in the film. Sorry. But he wanted to convey what a good person Fred was. And that, again, that he was surprised to see that I was going to be covering the film, that it was out there. So, for fans that are looking for obscure 80s films, definitely head on over to Olive Films and get this. I would give this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I do find it very entertaining. It's an early creature feature that I really, really enjoy. Like I said, it just tells the story, and it makes, in an odd sort of way, it makes you feel good. It makes me very nostalgic for that period of time and that style of movie. So definitely run out and check that out. And I told everyone John will be at Horror Realm in Pittsburgh this weekend and Cinema Wasteland in Ohio in April. So go check that man out. Talk to John. John can talk to you about Fred, maybe give you some more insight about the Boogens that you may not have known about. Again, really, really a lost film. Head on over to, let me make sure I get the website address right. I don't know what I did with it. www.olivefilms.com. They have plenty of other great genre titles, several of which we're going to review here in the coming weeks. I know I have Ticks sitting there waiting for a review. I have Night of the Demons 2. So there's definitely some high-quality entertainment waiting to be reviewed from Olive Films. And don't forget, later on, we're going to cover Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of Scream Blacula Scream. Coming up in about 7 minutes, we're going to have horror movie actress and adult film star Ophelia reign on. We're going to talk about her genre work, and we're also going to talk about her adult film career and modeling. There's going to be a lot of interesting ground to cover in that conversation. So we will get to that in a minute, but we're going to go back to our Metal Blade Spotlight. The second song is from, of course, our band Behemoth from the CD The Satanist. The name of the song is Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel. Gabriel from Behemoth from the CD The Satanist. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our feature interview. Tonight, we have on a young lady. She's a horror movie actress, an adult film star, and a model, Ophelia Rain. Ophelia, welcome to the Calling Hours.
Hey!
How you doing?
I am fabulous. I've been drinking rum and watching horror movies all day. I'm so happy.
Awesome.
I'm so ready.
It's great. Well, I'm glad to have you on. And, we're going to cover all aspects of your work. But first of all, why don't you tell everyone just a little bit about you? Who is Ophelia Rain?
I got into horror movies and like B-horror and started doing a few little films here and there. And then I got picked up by Burning Angel in LA, and which is a foreign company. So I went out there, did a bunch of shoots, and then I came back, and in the past year, everything's just been like really quickly, I can't even keep track of it sometimes. I'm just like, oh shit, I'm just this girl from Virginia Beach, and I'm getting all these horror movies and crazy pornos, and I just got the cover of Old Nick magazine.
I saw that.
You like that, right?
I saw that.
That's hot.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I just started following the magazine. I'm kind of interested in that, and I want to check that magazine out.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's
definitely for a discriminating dead man. It looks like my kind of magazine.
Yeah, it's a Satanist magazine, Levian Satanism magazine. So it has little gore horrors and fun stuff about different fetish communities in different cities and stuff like that.
Now, here's an interesting thing. A lot of people may not realize this. You're out near Washington, D.C., Alexandria, Virginia area. And it's funny, I was born in Woodbridge, Virginia. And, of course, down here in North Carolina, where I'm at now, there's a pretty decent independent film scene, and there's a decent presence of Hollywood with Dino De Laurentiis films down in Wilmington. But kind of talk about for a moment, what's the scene like in Alexandria? Is there any filming going on of any kind? I mean, what's going on out that way?
I mean, there's really not much going on here. Alexandria is it's all filled with young professionals, there's nothing wrong with that. Make your money, but it's all younger people with government jobs and stuff like that. I mean, DC is a little different. They have a little bit more of a a scene and everything. But
right.
Yeah, here not so much. But we're working on some stuff where we're actually starting to film gore forms and
pornography.
Yeah, pornography. There you go.
I am familiar with the topic.
Yeah, we're gonna do a whole Silent Hill themed thing, all the monsters. He's just gonna bang all the monsters, and we're just gonna dress women up.
I got it.
Yeah, you get it. You get it.
Well, what I like about having you on the show this evening is, I would like to think that I'm going to ask you a lot of questions that the average interviewer wouldn't ask you. Okay?
Ask me.
Okay, here's a good example. And, let me come out first and foremost and say, as a guy who's worked in independent film, I respect everything that you do, genre stuff, your adult film stuff, your modeling. Well, I'm throwing it out there. So, this is not some self-righteous show. I believe in what you do. I think you enjoy what you do and you love it, and that's what we're going to discuss. And I'm hoping you can provide some unique insight that the average fan normally wouldn't get or normally wouldn't think to ask you. For example, you mentioned pornography, and I remember the early days of pornography. I don't know if you were familiar with Steel Web Studios.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't for the life of me remember what it was right now, but they sent me one of their films for a review, and it was the first time I had seen pornography. And I think we're going back like 6 or 7 years now. This was like at the basic stage of pornography. And I was really amazed by, you still had hardcore porn, and now you're introducing not just a horror element, but you're entering a gore element. And the thing that was really surprising was the gore was good. The makeup was good. And in turn, you took the film more seriously. You looked at it as, this
you're
is
like,
a gore film with no filter.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm going to see some really good special effects, and it's going to be awesome, and I get to see a girl get fucked with, like, huge titties and stuff. Right. Perfect.
Right. Well, but let me ask you this. An interesting thing is, with social dynamics changing, and, men like this kind of porn, women like this kind of porn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Pornography in and of itself, especially with how graphic and how violent some of it can be, it obviously has to take a special kind of actress who would want to do that. Kind of explain to you what your motivations are for doing pornography and how you feel like you can help push the boundary, because it technically is still a young subgenre. There's not a ton of pornography out there at this point.
No, there's really not. And you know what? I don't know, like, it's not even that, like, someone would see it and be like, oh, well, I can't jerk off to this, but this looks fucking interesting, so I want to watch it. I want to buy it.
Right.
And, like, I don't know. Sorry, smoking.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So, like, I got, when I first got into, like, horror movies, I was obsessed with exploitation films, like August Underground, a Serbian film, Cannibal Holocaust, stuff like that.
Grindhouse
and
style,
I was just like, oh, this would be just so great. Like, I just want to dress a girl up like from the Creature of the Black Lagoon, and she just, like, a guy's really scared when she comes out of the pool because she's got a Creature of the Black Lagoon face on, but when she comes out, she's like a bikini on, and you're like, oh, well, I don't know. I like that.
Right. It's funny, you have your people who love porn, of course, and you have your people who are detractors from porn, but one of the most polarizing things over the last couple of years, and we've noticed this as a trend on Horror Society, one of our writers, Mac Brewer, covers stuff for Burning Angel, or has covered stuff from Burning Angel, and he had done a list of, like, the top 15 horror-themed pornos, and it just got an incredible response. But, you look at some of the films out there that are covered and reimagined as pornography, porn film, adult films. Why has the success of horror and porn, do you think, done so well as a niche?
It's because nobody does it. I mean, everyone's seen that blonde girl getting banged out. Everyone's seen, the girl with no tattoos. Everyone's seen it. It's been done. It's been done so many times. Like,
right.
And just like the horror, it's not the best horror movie you've ever seen, but, like, you're like, I just really want to watch it because this is crazy, like, what these people are doing, and that's kind of what I want to do. I want to, like, just press, like, the envelope of everything, just become the sickest thing you'll ever watch. And I'm writing, we're filming, we do all this stuff. And I try to bring in a lot of people from, different places and, give them a chance to be in it, I'm the internet's an amazing thing, And so I get to hear people that have amazing music. They have amazing, like, film styles, amazing special effects artists, and I want to bring it all together.
I like that. Now, kind of talk about, what came first for you? Was it modeling? Did you go into adult film first? Did you break into horror films first? I mean, what really started you on your path?
Well, I kind of went on my own as, young kid, like 18, 19, and I became a dancer. I've been a dancer for like 6 years. And then I broke into like the horror film industry by this guy named Fred Vogel. He works for Toe Tag Inc. And I was obsessed with the movie August Underground. I was obsessed with it. And
nice.
I saw him on Facebook, like his name was like Fred Vogel. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go bother him for a minute. So I went and bothered him, and I was like, I love your stuff. I'm a big fan, and I was a little fangirl or whatever. And he calls me up and he's like, hey, maybe you want to film something. I can't say for what right now, but I went and filmed for him, and something amazing is coming from Toe Tag Inc. soon. But
there's a lot of amazing things that come from Toe Tag Inc. though. I'm still trying to get Fred
a
on the
lot.
show.
I mean, a lot.
He's a hard man to pin down. I've been trying to get him on here for months. So Fred, if you're listening, or Ophelia, if you talk to him, tell him the dead man's looking for him. I'd love to have him on the show to talk about his films.
Well, I know him, so let's get him on here.
Now,
but
talk about how you've been. Well, go ahead.
No, you first.
I was going to say.
And by the way, and by the way, I said pussy.
Oh, drink.
Drink.
Tell us about how you became involved with Burning Angel.
I went to this thing called Exotica, and it's where like porn stars, do signings and stuff like that. And I came along the booth at Burning Angel, and one of Joanne Angel's people hit me up, and they were just like, "Hey, you're really hot. I think you do really well in our little genre." And I went out to LA,
Well, I mean, I don't mean to embarrass you or anything. I'm curious because I'm trying to piece together, show everyone how you've kind of put everything together, how you're combining both sides of your career. Because one of the things that I really wanted to talk about, and time, things have come a long way, but there's always been this stigmata of being an adult film star and then trying to do what's called quote-unquote legitimate film. Okay, I mean, we all saw how hard it was for Tracy Lords. Several years later, Ron Jeremy has had some success as, both an adult film star and a regular film guy. I think he's done 20 horror films outside of his adult film.
Ron Jeremy is such a great person. Oh my God, he's so amazing.
Have you met him?
Oh, of course. I've met him a few times.
Wow, yeah.
He's exactly how you think he would be. If you stand next to him and you're a hot chick, he'll just start filling your tits up and your ass and everything, and you really can't stop him because he's Ron Jeremy and he's loud.
But what I wanted to ask you is, all these years later, of course, Tracy Lords was some time ago when she did it and met so much resistance from critics. How has that been for you? Have you had any critics that have responded negatively from you being in both or one or the other? Or, do fans just seem to love it universally?
No, I mean, it's always been great. I got 2 lead roles coming up out of just being a porn star and stuff like that. And I'm the creepy porn star, and I can provide a lot of different elements and stuff. I'm like, hey, how about if we do this? How about if we do that? And they're like, oh, this is perfect. You're willing to do that? I was like, yeah. So, I don't really I don't really discriminate. The only thing is
not you, but I mean, I guess I'm talking from. Do you feel like do you have a lot of critics, or do you feel like critics, when they view, they know that you're an adult star, and they look at, well, she's done some horror films, do you feel like they view you fairly, or do they, that's what I'm driving at, from a political sense, how do you feel like the media and people view your work?
I really haven't gotten anything where, like, okay, we can't use you because you're an adult film star, or, like, I mean, it's all just been really, really positive, because I don't have many limits, It's like, if I do a film, I'm going to go all out for that film, and especially with, like horror movies, I'm just like, hey, I'll just do this crazy thing, like, is that cool? And they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I'm allowed to have, like, complete, like, creative control,
Well, I think that's a
good
thing.
No, I really haven't, like, had any bad media, like, everyone seems to like me okay, and, that's nice. But I do have, like, people that aren't in the media or anything like that, and I'll get, like, emails, like, death threats and stuff like that. And that's the only negative thing that I've ever gotten, but they're not in anything that I'm willing to do, or, like, I'm not filming for them, so I don't really care what they think.
No, and I feel you on that. That's definitely respectable.
I just like to kill those kind of people with kindness. I'm just like, well, I'm really glad that, the fact that you hate me so much, it really fuels your creativity.
Right. Oh, it pays to have haters. It definitely drives you to become more and go for higher goals.
I mean, of course I'm going to get haters because, like, I do like really crazy, like, B-horror movies, and I do, like, Burning Angels and stuff like that, and so, like, I mean, I know I'm going to get the haters, but, like, I like to delve into, like, their psyche a little bit. Like, I'm just like, okay,
sure.
Well, you know what, you hate me a lot, I'd really like to know why, and, so I'll try to get it out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but, what makes you hate me so much?
No, I feel you. A couple of things. You were recently part of my Deadly Beauty Horrors, Scream Queens, and Rising Talent, and there were a few interesting things in your bio that I wanted to talk about as an aside for a moment.
Let's cover it.
Yes, let's cover it. You had talked about some of the things that you do outside of your film and your modeling, and one of the things that you mentioned is that you make arcade machines. Kind of tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I build, like, full scale, like, arcade machines. The first, actually, my husband, he helps me out with all that stuff. He provides the wood. Hey-oh. But, like, he, we get the wood, and it's like arcade machines are usually, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like the ones, like the old school arcade machines, like full scale.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's why. Yeah.
So we make those, and also the one that we just made, we went all the way to New York to get a modded Xbox, which has over 5,000 games on it. It goes all the way from ColecoVision, Atari, little shoot 'em ups and, like, all that stuff. The Nintendo 64 stuff doesn't work so well on the arcade machines, but if it has, like, an arcade machine function, like Street Fighter and, like, Mortal Kombat and stuff, it all works really, really, really well.
That's pretty cool.
Our first one was called the Nostalgiatron. And we also just recently made a tabletop, which is, do you remember the tabletop arcade machines, like, where you sit down at it and it has little...
Yeah, like Mrs. Pac-Man and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we did. but we just put an actual computer in it. So, like, even if you're not playing video games, you could just surf the internet, and it's your coffee table.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Now, another thing I was interested in is you make satanic clothing by request, custom rocker wear, and satanic art, hand-painted sigils and bafflements, things along that line. Kind of talk about how you got into doing that kind of work, and just curious, are you a Satanist?
I am a Satanist. I'm a Livean Satanist. I am part of the COS. And when I read the Satanic Bible, I knew I was a Satanist right after I read it, and then I bought a whole bunch of stuff. I bought, the Secret Life of the Satanist, the Satan Speaks, the Devil's Notebook, the Satanic Rituals, and I read them all, and that's what I am. So I started doing different paintings and stuff like that. Like, I started doing, like, large, like, full-scale sigil of Baphomets, and it's been used in a few meetings. I won't say where, but it's been used in meetings. And I do, and I also do clothing. I actually made Joanne Angel a dress, like a backless dress that has a Baphomet on it, and I make everything by request, and I do like full patch leather pants and like just rocker wear, and nobody really wears it anymore, but I do it really well, and they work really well. Like they're amazing. Like everyone that actually sees them.
I just think that's pretty cool. I mean, again, it shows your range. I mean, not only that, I don't know if a lot of people know, but I mean, you're a very talented musician as well. I mean, you play 5 instruments?
Yes, I play the ukulele. I write music for the ukulele. I play the accordion. I play the bass. I play the guitar, violin. I do little things like the jaw harp and harmonica and stuff like that.
It's actually pretty interesting, though. I mean, where did your love of music come from? And over time, what drew you to each of the instruments that you play?
When I was a kid, my mom was a really good pianist and guitar player. She just had the knack for it. She just did. I mean, the first time I ever heard her play the guitar, she played I know it sounds lame, but like she played Stairway to Heaven, but she could play the whole song and sing it, but she went all the way through. She can play the whole song.
That's pretty cool.
And but for me, like, I can't play the piano. That's one of those instruments they don't agree with me. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So anybody that plays the piano is just like absolutely amazing to me. But I don't know. The ukulele is the only thing that I actually picked up, and I was like, this just makes sense. And like, it's easy to write music on it. And then the accordion, I had an ex that worked for Honer Incorporated in Richmond, and we owned a record company called Worthless Junk, and they're still around. Worthless Junk is still around. And I was just like, this is such a cool instrument. Like, it sounds like an entire band. So I was like, this is fucking awesome. I have to try. So I gave it a try, and it took to me really well, and and I got a little one. I got a concertina at my house, but when I lived out in Richmond, my large accordion got stolen, so that fucking sucks.
Wow.
But I have a ukulele right here. It's right next to me. It always is.
I just think that's fascinating. Again, it's just a whole nother aspect of everything that you do. And of course, you mentioned you paint and you draw.
Mhm.
Here's an interesting one. A term that you've used with me, through Facebook. We've been talking, and one of the things you keep mentioning, gore whore. For the audience out there, give a definition of what a gore whore is.
A gore whore is basically a girl that does horror films, and they usually show their tits, get fucked, and then die. So, like, it's basically like a scream queen. But we like the gore horror because they get, like, entrails pulled out of them and stuff like that. Like, for... Don't laugh at me, sir.
I'm not laughing at you. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I just love hearing you say it. That's the thing.
Like, we have a movie coming out, Milfs vs. Zombies. It should be out soon. They had me raped by a zombie, and they have, like, the dick is fake. It's completely fake. And it's just, like, covered in, like, sores and nasty shit, and he grabs me and, like, rapes me and everything, and then he, like, puts his hand in, like, rips out my entrails, like, out of my vagina. And I'm like, you know what? Let's make this better. I was like, I'll put all the fake entrails inside my vagina, so then you can just pull them out.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, don't fuck around.
Well, I was going to ask you. I was going to start talking about your film career, and of course, you know, you mentioned Milfs vs. Zombies, directed by Brad Twigg. You know, kind of talk about. I mean, other than what you've just mentioned, of course, to kind of talk about your experiences on that set. You know, what led to you getting into that film, and you know, when the concept of that scene was explained to you, you know, kind of talk about the process that you and the director went through, kind of mapping out how that scene would go.
Well, I mean, I didn't really even know about it, and he sent me a message, and he's like, I'm a filmmaker, based out of West Virginia, and he's an amazing fucking person, and I met him at a couple of horror conventions. And he's like, well, I'd like to have you come do this weird scene for me. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? He's like, I want you to get raped by a zombie, and we're gonna pull your entrails out of your vagina. And I was like, that sounds fucking amazing. Let's do it. So I drove like an hour and a half. He was like an hour and a half away from me, or where they were shooting anyway. And I drove out, and we did the scene, and I kept, like, I was actually drinking, so, like, I was, like, way gung-ho, even more than I normally am. And I was, like, they sprayed fake blood all over me and everything, and I was just, like, naked, sliding across, like, the kitchen floor, just sliding. He's like, okay, we gotta shoot now. Okay, get it together. Okay. I'm having fun, but anyway.
As an effects artist, I remember days on set like that, pouring just the blood. But anyway, I mean, I think this leads to an interesting question. I don't know how it'll sound. I don't mean it to sound like a funny question, but when you're preparing for a role or a scene in an adult film, you know, there's certain mental preparation, I'm sure, that you put yourself through when you do a scene. Same thing goes for a horror film. You know, you have to put yourself in a certain spot. You have to prep a certain way. You know, is there a difference between how you prepare yourself for an adult film role as opposed to a horror film?
That's actually a really good question. When I prep for, actually, I'm more scared to start filming for porn, because it's so, people think you're just fucking. They're just like, okay, you're just having sex. Like, it shouldn't be hard. You know, you're not acting, and it's all bullshit. Yes, you're acting. You're acting all throughout. And we have to be in very, very uncomfortable positions and stuff like that. But how I prepare myself for porn is I go in the bathroom, and I take my Hitachi. And if anyone doesn't know what a Hitachi is, it's a thing you plug into the fucking wall, and it vibrates like crazy. And I masturbate a little bit, and I watch porn, and I edge myself. So, like, so I'm, like, just super horny when I go on set.
Right.
Because Because a lot of times when you're on set, you're in such uncomfortable situations, it helps to just be stupid horny.
Right.
And you have to put your legs in a certain spot so the camera can see everything. You have to, get on top and do that, like, reverse cowgirl thing where no one ever actually does in real life, unless it's your birthday. So, like, and it hurts. Like, actually, like, because I work with men that are, film stars. I've worked with big name porn stars. So they're gigantic. So I have to prepare myself for that anyway. But,
right.
That's more preparation. But for horror, it's like I'm just happy to be there. I'm like, this is gonna be fun. I don't have to like, I don't have to be scared. I don't have to be like, hey, I'm here. Like, let's do this. Oh, what are you gonna do? You're gonna fucking pull entrails out of me? This is awesome. Let's do this.
I love your gung-ho attitude. I really do.
Yeah, and I'll always do, like, some weird shit. I'll just be like, hey, what if we did this? They're like, Ophelia, we're not going to do that right now. Maybe in the future. We can't show that on film. I was like, okay.
Now, another interesting aspect, just more out of curiosity than anything, as far as sets go, is professionalism and things like that. Can you kind of compare the differences between an adult set and a horror film set?
By far, the porn sets are ridiculous. Some of the best sets I've done in LA were just like these giant like studios and there's makeup artists, and I'm just like, really, all of this for two people fucking? I don't understand it. But whatever. Anyway, and like we've had like I've done porns in front of like waterfalls and like all this crazy shit. But what I love about B horror is, in just horror films in general, is I was a punk rock chick forever. So I love like just like, this is all we got. Can we make this work?
Right. Well, that's an interesting aspect. You look at, and it's definitely not any disrespect to any of the films that you worked on, genre films that you've worked on. None of them are what you would call even medium budget. A lot of these would be considered low to micro budget. And then, you mentioned working on the porn and, how elaborate the sets are and the locations and things like that.
Yeah, it's insane. You wouldn't think so, but it is.
Kind of talk about that for a minute. You look at what guys like Jonathan Moody and, Sean Burkett, who you're going to be working with, Brendan Twitt, these people that you worked with that have, pulled out this great genre art, for next to nothing. And then you look at what's spent on, these porn films, where do you feel, why is it that, of course, sex sells, but so does violence.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Does sport.
Sex and violence is where I come in, motherfucker.
Why is it that you think, in a roundabout way, that the porn is getting more support than the low-budget amateur who's going out and turning out good genre fare?
Well, it's not really that. It's that I've actually came up in porn really quickly. Like, I walked red carpet this year at AVN Awards, so right. I'm a high budget porn star, but nobody fucking cares what you're doing in a porno. Like, yeah, you may have this cool shit behind you and everything, but like, who gives a shit? Nobody's watching that. Everyone just watches the girl get fucked. There's really no.
Right.
I mean, like, there is a lot of art to it. Like, Joanna Angel is amazing. She makes the best stuff, and she comes up with the best little scenarios. Like, I have DVD coming out in a few months. We're doing a whole Wednesday Addams themed porno.
Nice.
So it's all like Wednesday Addams, because Wednesday Addams is always just like very stern and doesn't ever smile and stuff like that, and that's what we're going for. And she's a genius. She is a filmmaker, and she's done Fuckenstein. It's all in black and white, and she's done Shark Bait, which won a few awards. But she is very high budget. She just is. But a lot of porn stars, people that are in porn don't get the kind of sets that I do. But
right.
What I love about the horror and just horror films in general is that people make art with what they have, and they do it so. They just do so well. Like, this is what I got, and we're gonna make it awesome. Like, I remember doing a war scene with Jonathan Moody, and we were just like in his backyard, but like he has like a wooded area in his backyard, and we're like walking through the woods and stuff like that, and like I just love that, and I'm always going to be a part of it. Like, most people don't really have to even pay me. I appreciate getting travel done, but I just love being a part of it. So.
No,
those are artists. They don't have like a shit ton of money to be spending, and what they create, and like Brad Twiggs, and he did such an amazing job with Milfs vs. Zombies, and we're actually filming a short called Fiendish Fables. And the funny thing about Fiendish Fables is I was like this girl, and I was like telling everybody kind of what to do. I was like the main character, but it's not for like the movie. It's just for a trailer. And I was like, I had to like maniacally laugh and everything in the air with this book, with this like satanic book, and like, but I wasn't really laughing at all because there was no words that needed to be said, so it was all silent. And it was in the middle of the woods. And there was, it's on a farm. I don't really live on farms, so I don't know that they have these. There's like the bone piles where like dead animals and stuff that they just shove in, and we're like right by that. So like if you looked over the side, there's just like all these dead animals like decaying and like bones sticking out, and it was like smelling, and I like that. That was fun. I was like, holy shit, this is cool.
Now, let's talk about another film on your resume, and that's Joey Webb's Death Metal. Now, you were in that with Eliza Jane and Jim O'Rear, and I've interviewed both of them, actually. Jim's a good dude, and Eliza's really good. Kind of talk about your experiences on that film and how you got involved there.
Actually, Joey found me on Twitter, and I've never met him, so he's making me the lead role in his next film, and I can't wait to film it. But there's nothing that's really been happening with that so far.
Now, how about Bite School?
Oh, I can't wait for the album!
Now you have some names in that one too that I've interviewed and that I know. Genoveva Rossi I've had on the show.
Yep.
Sarah French, Jonathan Moody. Roy Froome. I always say his name wrong. Roy Frumkes. Probably said it wrong again there. But kind of tell us about how you got involved with that and how that project's going.
I was at a horror convention with. Actually, I was filming with Jonathan Moody for Dracula's War, and I didn't even know that there was a horror convention in town. And I was like, wait, what? We're going to a horror convention? This is awesome. Oh, by the way, I made out with Sig Haig. Just saying.
No way.
But anyway, yeah, like we talked about religion and stuff, and like he bought me a shot, and we like started drinking. And
was he wearing the clown makeup though? That's what we need to know.
God damn it, he wasn't.
He had to be dressed like Captain Spaulding. Come on.
I don't know.
It doesn't count.
Hey, it counts. But, like, I made out with that old man. I loved him. And, like, he kissed me and everything. He's like, okay, no, all right, go back to your... I was like, okay, see you later. I was being a total fangirl. Yeah, I was being a total fangirl. But anyway, and I didn't know it was a horror convention, and I went and I got hit up by James Balsamo, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to film a scene really quick?" So I was like, "Sure, whatever." And we went upstairs, and I played. Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to like say what I did or anything, but
that's up to you. I don't.
But I play like I'm all dressed up in like my convention wear, you know. So I got like black lipstick, like contacts, and crazy hair and everything. And I'm just like, he's like, okay, what I want you to do? You wanna you're gonna be a prostitute or like an escort or whatever, and all the guys are gonna be like hanging out in the hotel room, like saying like, oh man, like, oh I can't wait, like, oh you're getting married, dude, and everything. And I'm just like, are you guys ready for me? And like, I keep poking my head out and everything, and then I just fucking kill them all.
That sounds awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Now,
and I got the best tips in the fucking thing, so I'm in the trailer. Yeah, Goat Horror, fucking Banner, and I guess Cancer Sled is going to be one of the soundtracks, which is funny because I used to book them at my old concert venue. I used to book bands at. So I was like, holy shit, really? Cancer Sled was awesome.
Now, you had mentioned Dracula's War. Is there anything you can tell us about that? IMDb lists it's still in pre-production, but...
Not really, because, we filmed a couple things, and it was really cool. We filmed, like, this little debate between Dracula and the bounty hunter. I don't even know. But Jonathan was really, he just did really well, and we did like a little like war fight scene in the woods, and it was really cool. But we also filmed a promo of me and Nadia White, and Nadia White is another porn star that lives in the area where I live. And what we did, both of us just have like amazing tits. So we we're like, for the promo, we're like jumping on Dracula and we're like making out with him and, you know, touching him and stuff. And we're waiting for the promo to come out, but it hasn't come out yet.
Okay. And then you're scheduled for Urban Legends to Die For. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
Absolutely not. Nope. I've just been casted in it. That's all I got.
And of course, you're now connected with Sean Burkett's "Don't Fuck in the Woods."
Yeah. I'll be playing. What was it? Oh God, what was her name?
I don't have the cast list yet. I just, I know you and Sean, so.
Yeah, so I'll be playing one of like the supporting roles, and I got a buddy of mine that I casted called Holly. I don't even know his real last name. It's just Holly Creepo, and he's gonna be my boyfriend that's in the movie. And he also is gonna be doing a lot of the soundtrack and stuff like that.
Very nice. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, since you've been on both ends of it now, you'd mentioned being on the red carpet for the adult films. You've talked about going to these conventions, and of course, you've gone as a fan. But of course, now you're in films. You're going to be someone who's on these panels. Can you kind of talk about how are the followings different between your adult film fans and your horror movie fans?
I actually think it's a good mixture because I've done a lot of work because I'm an adult film star, and I don't really discriminate. I'm just like,
right.
hey, you want to do a horror film with me? I'm like, yes, I'm there. I'll be there. And I'm also doing Zomboner. Zomboner came out, and they're doing Zomboner 2. So I'll be filming for that. And I just love doing horror movies. So it's not like you have to really pay me a lot. You just got to kind of get me out there and give me a place to stay, and I'll film for you.
Right.
It's pretty easy.
But I mean, I guess where I'm going is porn has its rabid fan base, and of course, horror films do. I mean, you look at how iconic some films are in the American lexicon. Kind of talk about that. How is it when you meet fans out there at these conventions? What is the response? How is it for you?
It's actually kind of surreal. Because I'm just kind of a little stripper that lives in Virginia, and I got into like a lot of porn, and I get fans, and I mean I make more money, that's for sure, with because sex, like you said, sex sells.
Right.
And I don't know, like I'll have people like running up and be like, "Is this you? This is your porno? Like this is on my phone." I'm like, "Hey, can you not show that while I'm at a horror convention? This is a different area." Yeah, because we were at with Kane Hodder. He was sitting at our table, and some guy just ran up, and he was like, "Hey, is this you?" And like, I have this movie from facial abuse, and he just got me like getting Facebooked, like on his phone. I was like, "Hey, no, let's not. All right, well, thanks for your support, I guess." But the people for porn are just a little bit more, in my face and everything. But I don't know. I get a lot of more like autographs, like signings and stuff like that. I'm actually hosting Entertainer of the Year in Richmond, Virginia at Pure Pleasure this weekend on Saturday.
No kidding. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll have my magazine for Old Nick Magazine, and I'll be signing those, and I'll be feature dancing and all that stuff. So I've been getting a lot of stuff, and it's been just getting stuff. It's great. I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm getting so many things. I'm just so happy.
What do you find has been the most challenging aspect out of all of your work?
Travel. Probably, because I'm married, and he's a writer, and he writes like all my porn stuff. He does all this crazy, like he wants to do the whole Silent Hill pornography, and he wants to put girls in contacts and stuff like that, and like I can't really be around that much because I'm always traveling from like LA, Florida, New York City, stuff like that. So. I mean, that's really the only thing, because, like, I get really tired. Like,
sure.
I have to travel all the time, like, and I hate getting the red eyes. I don't know if you know what a red eye is.
It's the early flight.
Yeah, it's when you're going to be traveling all night long. You won't get home until, like, the next day. So I get a lot of those, because they're the cheaper flights, and I live my life pretty cheap, so...
Now, one of the other things I thought was really cool when I was looking at pictures for the Deadly Beauty article is your tattoo work. Kind of talk about your tattoo work a little bit, and in particular, the death's head moth you have on your lower back.
Yeah. And I also got...
I didn't notice that, did you?
Yeah. Well, that tattoo is actually pretty significant to me because I don't have color. I don't like color. I like black and gray, and that's the only tattoo. Yeah, it's the only tattoo I have that's completely color. It's just, I mean, it's a guy named Gary Stevens. He works in Richmond. He's amazing. He's done a few of my tattoos. He's done the accordion on my inner arm. He's just great. I mean, with color, he's the best you can get, and he's reasonably priced too. And but I came to him with this Death at Moss thing, and he's like, I was like, you don't have to really do the whole Salvador Dali painting in the middle, which is, if no one knows what it is, it's a naked women that make up my skull in the back of, in the center of the tattoo. And he's like, no, we're doing that. We're making it happen. I'm like, okay. So
yeah, I mean, it's an amazing piece of work.
It's really great. And he's incredible. He's in this band. He does noise, like Boyd Rice and Throbbing Gristle, SBK. He does that kind of music, and he's like, I need to do it. I need to make that little thing, and it just works so well. Because so now, like, when people are like, oh, I love that tattoo, and I'll be like, if you actually look at the skull, they're actually naked women that make up the skull. And people are just like, holy shit, oh my god, I never noticed that. And I also have, I'm heading out to New York. I'll be doing something for Trauma. I'll be doing a short film for Trauma. I'll be playing a Russian assassin, vixen.
Now, for you, very interesting, because you use the term gore horror. And I have the Deadly Beauty series, and I had a gentleman the other night. He wasn't nasty about it, but he named off 3 particular women and said, this is the definition of Scream Queen, and pretty much dropped it at that. I've also had young ladies that I've asked to be a part of that series who were, I don't want to quite come out and say the word offended, but were upset by the fact that I was wanting to include them in that series and never heard back from them. To you, what does the term Scream Queen mean, and does it have the same definition that it did back in the day when it was Jamie Lee Curtis and Barbara Crampton and Barbara Steele and, those kinds of names?
Well, I mean, like, everything moves forward, like, those girls were probably, like, looked down upon by all of their peers and people that, did, like, gore and everything like that. It's just like, you only live one life, and I feel that you need to make a name for yourself. And I'm not saying that it's because, like, a lot of girls say they have no self-respect or something because they show their tits or, like, something like that. And that's bullshit. They're doing something with their lives, and they're making themselves known. They're coming up. And I just think that those girls, they did what they needed to do. And they're glad that they did it, because they didn't know that these films were going to be so as big as they were. Like, sure. like Troll 2, like, they didn't know that movie was even going to be, like, anything. And then, like, years and years later, it's this huge cult following. I mean, it happened also with Rocky Horror Picture Show, like,
Evil
they didn't
Dead.
know that. Yeah, exactly. And, that's one of my favorite Scream Queens. So, but, like, they didn't know that this was going to be such a big thing, and you just never know what film is going to actually just make this super cult following. So you might as well put yourself out there as much as you can. And,
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, and, it may be, like, something you never thought you even would do, but press the envelope is always the best, because unless you want to stay in this, like, stagnant, regular film and everything, I don't get it. I always like to press, and I always like to do anything that I can to help, especially help, horror films that, they don't have a huge budget, but I'm still going to help you.
What is your definition of the modern-day Scream Queen?
Yes, I don't know. I don't know if I can, because we don't know yet. We didn't know a lot of people were going to be these big Scream Queens, but they are. So you really just, I mean, I can't really answer that question because I don't know, because I think that
Sure.
what was a Scream then isn't going to be the same as it is now. So we're just going to have to find out, and that's what people like, and that's what fans like, because it's all about the, like, mystery and, like, you know, like I said, with old films that didn't think that it was going to become anything, and now it's huge.
You know, your love for the genre is very apparent, so let me put this out there to you. If there was going to be a remake of any horror film out there, and you got to be involved in it, what would you pick?
Man, I have to think about that one. You know, actually, I really wanted to be in The Hills Have Eyes, but they didn't. And I really wanted to be, if they could, like, remake Hellbound, Hellraiser, that's what I would want to be in. But, I mean, really, like, when a horror movie is so good, they always remake it. Right. If anything,
they do, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the remake, but you know, if you had to see it
remake
done,
it,
you know, it just would you make it? You know, and it's just interesting to hear different people's perspectives on that. It's now here's an interesting thing because horror again has become so popular, you know, and it's been injected into porn. You know, we've seen things like Repenetrator and things like that. If you were to do a porn horror revision, what film would you like to do?
A Serbian film, too.
Oh, my God. Ooh, I'm going to have to talk to Stephen Bureau on Unearthed Films and get you two talking. Holy Christ. Oh, he just did you know, that's a guy you should talk to. He's the guy. Have you heard about the American Guinea Pig series?
No.
Oh my God! You've heard of the original Japanese Guinea Pig series, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the owner of Unearthed Films. He's the guy that put those out here in the United States. He is now producing and directing new American versions of those films.
Really?
Oh, I will send you Steven's info when I get off when we go to commercial break. When I go to commercial break. Yeah, I think you need to talk to Steven.
I'd love that. I mean, I love exploitation. I'm like, you know, I love slasher films and stuff like that because a lot goes into it, you know. But I really love the, you know, mental just fuck that you get with certain exploitation films.
Let me ask you this, because you know, you're more of the current generation, but your knowledge of horror certainly expands back into the older films, especially the 60s and 70s exploitation era. You know, what are your thoughts on practical effects versus digital effects? You know, do you like more of the old school approach, or you know, do you like some of the modern CGI stuff?
Well, actually, that is a good question. Like The Thing, like the original, they did, you know, the little robotics, and I mean, it's just so brutal because it's real, you know.
Right.
That's a real thing that's happening. And then they had the Thing that came out, the new one, and I loved it. I liked it a lot. I really did. And they did all the CGI stuff, though, you know, and I don't know. I if you do something well, then that's all you need. Like, if you're an artist doing something well, I mean, then you got it. You know, I can't really say, like, I like something more than I like this, because then I'm just somebody that's the same person that's like, oh, well, it was a good movie, but did you read the book? You know, like, it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, like, if you do something well, I appreciate it and I enjoy it.
Now, one of the other things, one of the last things I wanted to ask you is, you know, to me, you're a very positive role model for women in film, whether it's adult film, whether it's genre film, film of any kind. You seem to be a very strong individual. You're very proud of what you do, and I just love to see the fact that you support the independent horror film guy out there. It's really nice to see that you're out there trying to help and wanting to be a part of it. What advice would you like to give to anyone who's trying to break into the industry? Every experience is different, but yeah, I mean, what would you tell someone who wants to get into anything that you're doing?
Which industry? Like just the horror and porn?
Either one in general. Like I said, your work should be commended on all ends. You're doing well. You're promoting yourself. I think you are a positive influence for women or anyone in general who wants to get into any of the industries. What advice in general would you give to anyone who wants to get into any of it?
My advice would be take a chance on, what you want to do. If you don't feel comfortable doing something, you don't do it.
Right.
And if you have a love for something, you should go for it, and don't let anybody else tell you it's wrong, because you live your own life. And if this is something you want to do, and like porn, that's a hot button for a lot of women.
Right.
And if you want to do it, you should. Unless, I don't know, you're going to make like $1 million or something, I don't know. But, I don't know other people's lives. But with my life, it works out really well. And I love my life, and I love doing what I do. And it makes me really happy. I'm never sad. I'm never, I just love it, all of it. And, you only have one life to live. So you can either work your 9 to 5, but, if you want to work your 9 to 5, absolutely, make your money. But if you want to do something extra, and you want to do something a little more, and you want to do something a little edgier, you should, if you want to do it. Because women, women have been so repressed for so long, it still sticks in their minds. Like I get, like I said earlier, I get death threats and stuff, but it doesn't stop me.
Right.
It's got to be everything that you want to do. Don't let anyone tell you that you should do something or not do something. If you feel comfortable doing it, do it. And I think you'll be happy.
Well, I agree. Like I said, I think your work's amazing. I look forward to seeing more from you. And, if you ever have any news, always let me know, and we'll put it up on Horror Society. And I hope to have you on the show again. But before we let you go, kind of tell people where they can find you, Facebook, Twitter, websites, things that are going on for you.
You can just Google me, Ophelia Rain. My Instagram is ophelia.rain, pretty easy. My Twitter is Ophelia Rain XXX. Actually, my Facebook got hacked, so you can still like my page, but it's Ophelia Rain 1234 on Facebook. And also, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, so I have a Facebook. It's just Ophelia. Actually, no, it's Ashley Usry now, because Facebook is a dick, and it made me change it to my real name. But
you have your Ophelia Rain page, too.
Mhm. I'm actually working on it. I'm building it myself, so I'm not that great at, web design. So that's being worked on. But basically, my Twitter is my website. But hey, if there's anyone out there that does web design, help me out.
Well, Ophelia, again, I want to thank you so much for being on, talking candidly about all of your work. I wish you the best of luck. And again, like I said, you're always welcome. And I know you said you were coming to North Carolina to do a video shoot. So let me know when you do that. We can talk more about the photo shoot. You there?
Hello?
You there?
Yeah.
Oh, you sound like you dropped off for a second there. But yeah, like I said, let me know when you're coming down, and we'll get together.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And I sent
I'm
Steven your
here!
info.
Don't you leave me, damn it!
So,
hey,
yeah,
hey,
cool.
wait, pussy.
What? Oh, drink.
Pussy. Drink! Yummy rum.
Yummy.
All right, baby.
Again, all right, baby. Thank you so much for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon.
Of course. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that was horror movie actress and adult film star and model Ophelia Rain. Make sure to check her out in the upcoming Milfs vs. Zombies Death Metal, Bite School, Dracula's War, the upcoming Urban Legends to Die For, and of course, recently signed to Sean Burkett's Don't Fuck in the Woods. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to do our next digital dismemberment. We will be covering Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of Scream Blacula Scream. But before that, we're going to go into our final Metal Blade Spotlight segment for the evening. From the band Behemoth, the CD is The Satanist. The song is O Father, O Satan, O Son. just heard "Oh Father, Oh Satan, Oh Son" from the CD The Satanist. The band was Behemoth. Thank you to our friends out at Metal Blade Records for sending along such great metal music for us every week. In a moment, we're going to get to our final digital dismemberment. But I have to let everyone know, once again, to head on over to livingdeadmagazine.com and pick up the current issue. Issue number 6, a tribute to Rob Zombie and Zombie Films. Just about everything Rob Zombie you could ever want to know and read is enclosed in this issue. There's absolutely fantastic artwork. A great article by Editor-in-Chief Deanna Utella with Rob himself. The Dead Man kicks in on the fun with an interview with Otis Driftwood himself, Bill Moseley. I also do a comparison, or a retrospective, I should say, on The Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses. So make sure to head on over to livingdeadmagazine.com to order your copy. There's also been a little bit of an update. If you head on over to Facebook, there is now a page for the Living Dead Horror Convention. Make sure to go over and check that out on Facebook. The Dead Man will post it on his Facebook page so that everyone can go. As a matter of fact, they're starting to announce the guests tomorrow. So next week's show, I'll be able to let you know who is going to be gracing us at that fantastic convention that's going to be taking place November 13th through the 15th of this year at the Oregon Convention Center in Portland, Oregon. I personally cannot wait. It'll be the first time I'll get to meet a lot of my fellow writers out there with Living Dead Magazine, and of course I will be representing Horror Society and the Calling Hours Horror Podcast. I'm trying to find out which lucky member of Horror Society is going to go with me to cover those events. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be an experience that everyone's going to enjoy. But now I think it's time for some digital dismemberment.
Digital dismemberment.
And in our final digital dismemberment spotlight for the evening, we are going to be covering Scream Factory's Blu-ray release of Scream Blacula Scream, included as a double feature with Blacula. The eternally cool William Marshall puts a fresh spin on the age-old legend of the vampire. Condemned to wander the earth with an insatiable lust for blood in the riveting blaxploitation classics Blacula and Scream Blacula Scream, both available today for the first time on Blu-ray. The double feature release also includes features a brand new audio commentary track by author, film historian, filmmaker David F. Walker, and a new interview with actor Richard Lawson, who was also in Scream Blacula Scream. Of course, last week we reviewed Blacula, which was, of course, set in 1780. Is the tale of African Prince Mamuwald, who pays a visit to Count Dracula in Transylvania. He's turned into a vampire and subsequently comes to America and is later vanquished by the sunlight. But, of course, Scream Blacula Scream. Blacula Lives. The scintillating sequel, Scream Blacula Scream, pits voodoo power against vampiric fury. Willis Daniels, played by Richard Lawson, the son of a late high priestess, seeks revenge on the cultists who have chosen his foster sister Lisa, played by Pam Grier, as their new leader. Hoping to curse Lisa, Willis unwittingly resurrects Blacula's earthly remains and unleashes the Prince of Darkness and this freaked-out army of the undead. This was absolutely fantastic, fun to watch. It's very colorful film, and I don't mean that in terms of a race perspective, but I mean, it was really interesting how they delved a little bit more into the African history, and I love the added element of voodoo. The particular opening scene with Richard Lawson The voodoo sequence he uses to resurrect Blacula, I think, is quite interesting, especially from the context of, I never thought about vampirism versus voodoo and if one could be used to control the other. And in fact, that is an interesting subplot throughout the film as Blacula provides protection to Lisa, Pam Grier's character, who is supposed to be, the best at voodoo, and he's hoping that she can use the voodoo to remove his vampiric curse. So it's kind of interesting along the way in the film. You see Blacula in several different lights, both as the evil vampiric presence that he is, but in several aspects, he gets on two pimps in the street, jump on him, and he talks about how they're enslaving their sister by making her be a prostitute. So there's a lot of powerful messages that come from the film that are a positive light as well. And the fact that towards the end of the film, Blacula, is almost more of a sympathetic character because he's trying to get rid of his curse. The insatiable lust part leads him to biting several others and having minions in the film. But you kind of get in the end that he is a tragic figure and is simply looking for release and a way to escape from what's going on with him. Some of the special effects in this are, on par, not quite as good as the first. The bat-changing sequence might leave a few laughing, but for what it is for at its time, it really doesn't totally destroy the film. I don't think this one had quite as much blood in it, but the story was certainly entertaining. I liked the backdrop, again, as I said, of the voodoo, and it was nice to see Pam Grier in this. I didn't realize it at first until I had watched it that Pam was in it. I thought that the ending was really cool too. I make mention of the use could one power over the other control vampirism, and this is the interesting aspect of, even though it's kind of left open at the end of the film, Lisa stabs the prince's voodoo doll, killing him and destroying the menace of Blacula forever. And of course, there was never a follow-up. It'd be interesting to see. I'm surprised this one has never been remade. I know there are people that love and hate blaxploitation films and would point to various ends of the spectrum when it comes to this film on whether or not it has any redeeming social content. I found it to be an entertaining movie and thought it to be a very worthy follow-up to the original Blacula. As an overall, I said last week, I gave the disc an overall 7 out of 10. The interview with actor Richard Lawson I thought was really nice. There were also the theatrical trailers. The audio commentary is nice. You find out a lot of background information. Again, you get a lot of that. He's for David F. Walker, reflections on blaxploitation, actors and directors speak. So, I mean, there's really a lot that you can delve into with this without there being a ton of special features. So it still garners a 7 out of 10. I love the packaging and the artwork. I thought the films were fantastic. They both looked good. They both sounded good. I thought the makeup slipped maybe just a hair, not to even say that as a joke. I thought some of the hair on the vampires was a little obviously glued on a little bit more than in the original, but really it's just small things that I'm nitpicking at. Again, I think it was great locations. I thought the film looks great, cinematography-wise, acting-wise. Again, Pam Grier, I mean, you got to love every minute of that. I would give this film a 3 out of 5. I remember I gave Blacula a 3.5 out of 5. Again, not that it's a terrible film. I kind of liked where it went, but I definitely felt like the original Blacula probably packed just a little bit more emotional punch and content. But definitely well worth picking up to fill out your collection, whether you're a vampire fan, an exploitation fan, a blaxploitation fan, anything like that. Head on over to shoutfactory.com and pick up your double feature edition of Blacula and Scream Blacula Scream. You should be able to head on to iTunes. You should be able to head to your big box retailers or order it on Amazon.com. It's been another fantastic show here on the Calling Hours Horror Podcast on Horror Society Radio. I want to say thank you to our lead interview this evening, horror movie actress and adult film star and model, Ophelia Rain. Make sure to check her out in all of her films and everything that she has coming up. I want to say thank you to our friends at Metal Blade Records for supplying Behemoth The Satanist for our listening pleasure this evening. Thank you to our new friends out at Olive Films for sending us our Blu-ray release of The Boogens for review. And thank you to Tom Chen and crew out at Scream Factory for sending us our Blu-ray release double feature, Blacula and Scream Blacula Scream. We will be returning next week with another great show. So until then, this is the Dead Man from Horror Society and Living Dead magazine telling you all to rest in peace.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike, you know.
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.